There's a phrase that you hear all through philosophy and spirituality, one that feels so big and profound, but also, let's be honest, kind of confusing. All is one. It sounds amazing, this idea of a grand cosmic unity, but what on earth does it actually mean? Well, let's dive in and really unpack this thing.
Right off the bat, we run into a huge problem. Our everyday experience, everything we see and touch, seems to scream the exact opposite. I mean, there are billions of people, countless different objects, completely separate ideas. So how can you possibly take all of that vibrant, chaotic variety and say it's all just one? That's the huge paradox we're going to get into today.
And this lays out the conflict perfectly, doesn't it? On one hand, you have this massive philosophical claim. Everything is a single, unified whole. But then, on the other hand, you have the reality you live in, where a mountain is clearly not a river and you are definitely not me. So what gives? Is the claim just wrong, or are we maybe missing something deeper?
So here's our game plan. We'll start with the paradox itself. Then we'll check out how different traditions around the world have tried to describe this one. After that, we'll see how it can shift from just being an idea to something you can actually feel. Then we'll look at the huge ethical impact of this idea. And finally, we'll solve the puzzle by seeing how unity and diversity aren't enemies. They actually need each other. Okay, so let's get one thing straight right from the start. Believing all is one doesn't mean you think a rock and a bird are literally the same thing. That's not it at all. It's about seeing the common ground they both come from, that deeper, single reality that both the rock and the bird pop out of. And this isn't some strange, fringe concept. It's actually a pretty universal idea. Thinkers and mystics from all over the world, from totally different cultures, have landed on this same basic conclusion. They just use their own words and their own maps to describe it. And what's so cool is how these different paths all point to the same place. In Hinduism, you've got Brahman, this ultimate reality that's actually the same thing as your own individual soul, your Atman. In Taoism, it's the Tao, that mysterious, can't quite describe it source of everything. An ancient Greek philosopher, Parmenides, argued that all of reality is just one single, unchanging thing he called being. And then you have Spinoza, who said that God and nature are just two sides of the very same coin, one single, infinite substance. So many different paths, all leading to the same mountaintop. These metaphors are absolutely key to getting it. The one isn't just another item in the painting of reality. No, it's the canvas itself, the very stuff that lets all the different figures even exist. It's like the ocean and the waves. The waves are all distinct, right? They rise, they crash, they look different. But for not one single second are they ever separated from the ocean. They are the ocean. Okay, this is where it stops being just a cool idea for your brain and becomes something really personal. It moves from this abstract philosophical concept to a direct, real, felt experience. You see, mystics don't just talk about oneness. They describe these incredible moments where the boundary between me and everything else just completely dissolves. Wow, this quote from the Christian mystic Meister Eckhart just nails it, doesn't it? In that moment of pure awareness, the whole idea of an observer and the thing being observed just collapses. It's no longer me looking out at the world. It feels more like the world is looking out through my eyes. So you can think of it like a journey of perception. Most of us, most of the time, are hanging out in step one. It's our default setting. We see a world full of separate things. Maybe through learning and thinking we get to step two, where we intellectually get it, okay, yeah, everything's connected. But step three, that's a whole other level. That's a direct experience, a deep knowing, where the very feeling of being a separate I just fades into the background. And this is where the rubber really meets the road. Because if that feeling of separation is just an illusion, if we really are all connected in some fundamental way, well, that completely changes the game for how we treat each other. It's not just a neat philosophical idea anymore. It has massive consequences for how we live our lives. All of a sudden, compassion isn't just a moral rule you're supposed to follow. It's the most natural response possible when you see yourself in someone else. The golden rule, do unto others, it's not just a nice suggestion. It becomes totally self-evident. Harming another person or harming the planet is then understood as a kind of self-harm. It's like a form of self-mutilation. My well-being and your well-being are tangled up together. Buddhism has this absolutely brilliant word for this, pratityasamutpada. It's a mouthful, I know, but the idea is beautiful. It's called interconnectedness or dependent origination. The core idea is that nothing, and I mean nothing, exists all by itself. Think about a flower.
It's made up of non-flower things, right? It needs sunshine, rain, soil, air. If you look really deeply into that one flower, you end up seeing the entire universe. Nothing is ever truly separate.
So, let's bring it all back home now and finally solve that paradox we started with. We've talked about how the one is like the foundation of everything, but what about all the amazing, unique, different things that grow out of that foundation? Does unity just erase all that? And the answer is a huge, resounding no.
This right here might be the single most important takeaway from all of this. Unity is not the same thing as sameness. Oneness doesn't mean everything becomes a boring gray blob. In fact, it's the exact opposite.
To really get this, let's use a metaphor. Just picture a single, incredible diamond in your mind. It's one thing, one unified substance, right? One whole.
But where does its sparkle come from? What makes it so brilliant? It comes from its thousands of totally unique, distinct facets. Each one catches the light and reflects it in its own special way. The diversity of the facets doesn't take away from the unity of the diamond. It's the very thing that expresses its beauty. The one shows its glory through the many. So the real key is to hold both truths at the same time. We have this absolute unity of our essence, our core being, and we have the relative reality of all our unique forms. We live in a world with real differences, real joy, real pain, and that all matters. We can't use all as one as an excuse to ignore injustice or pretend boundaries don't exist. That has a name. It's called spiritual bypassing. Real wisdom is about embracing both, the one and the many. So I'll leave you with a question to carry around with you today. If you look at the world through this lens, what's just one connection you can notice today that you didn't see yesterday? It could be between you and another person, between an object and where it came from, or between an idea and the impact it has. What connection can you spot?